In today's live streamed video, we're going to discuss my guest's reselling business, including how to sell men's clothing, including suits, vintage t-shirts, and more. He'll share his tips and strategies to help make us more successful and profitable resellers. Every Wednesday, I have a live stream, and I usually interview another reseller, and I have them share their tips, tricks, and techniques to help make us more knowledgeable and profitable resellers. If you're interested in reselling, then you are in the right place. I'm going to pop in a chat to say hello to a few people, and we should get started very shortly. Appreciate you folks all being here. I know Glenn Swampicker's here. Thanks for joining us, Glenn. Lisa Sieg, always good to see you. Michelle as well, good to see you as well. Tracy Parks. Tracy's here for you, Bobby. She's not here for me. So anyway, Tracy, great. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Angie, always good to see you, my friend. Okay, guys. So I'm going to bring my guest on. Like I said, if you know, you saw the thumbnail. My special guest today is Bobby, or Krillin, as we used to know Bobby is Krillin. So obviously we're going to talk about men's clothing. So I'm going to bring Bobby on and have him introduce himself. Hello, sir.
Hello, guys. Hello, everybody. How are you today?
We're doing great.
How's it going?
Why don't you tell the people that don't know you who you are, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so for people who don't know, my name is Rob, or Bob. Some people know me from before, know me as Krillin, but my name is Rob. I'm from Long Island, New York. I'm about 20-30 minutes outside of New York City. I know some people think I live in New York City, but I don't. I live in a suburb. You know, people just say it, whatever. But just for the record, that's where I live, about 20 minutes outside of city limits. I've been reselling for about, I want to say 5 years now, full time. You know, I started out selling like an everything man. I was like, you know, going to garage sales, whatever it is. And now I've pretty much niched just to close, like 99%. Once in a while, you know, obviously if I find something, I mean, what's I do go to garage sales, and I'm at the estate sales. If I do find something, I will sell something if it's, you know, no brainer, obviously. That's why it's called no brainer. So but I've niched mainly to men's suits, also vintage clothing such as t-shirts, even sweaters, whatnot. I just find it easier to niche. It's, you know, in the beginning when I started, I'd be spending so much time researching items, and it's research and frustration. So that's what I did, and here's where I'm at.
Okay. Now, like I said, you're on Long Island, I guess. Technically, you're sitting in the suburbs.
Yes, it's easy. I'm on the island, so
okay.
You know, the actual island, for people who don't know. You know, I know you said you had other people from down south that I'm sure they're not familiar with.
Right.
You know, so the island of Long Island has Queens, Brooklyn, and Nassau and Suffolk. Queens and Brooklyn are a part of New York City.
Right.
And then I'm about 20 minutes outside by car in Nassau County on the South Shore.
Okay. So you typically stay to that? I mean, like I said, I haven't been in New York a lot. I mean, I've been to the city. I've been in, you know, Long Island. Long story short, which we don't get into details, but I was looking for a job once. I took a job selling mattresses for Sleepy's, and they had their headquarters up that way. But that wasn't the greatest job in the world. Believe me, selling mattresses sitting there all day, and maybe 1 or 2 people come through the store a day. But anyway, we won't get into that. But yeah, so do you source mainly up there, or do you bother going into the city? And
yeah, I don't. You know, it's very people ask that a lot. It's very difficult, especially if you have a vehicle. You know, like if you have a car, it's hard. You can't really go from thrift store to thrift store. I mean, look, there's people who do it. They have it figured out.
Right.
But it's not like how 99% of the country, you know, you see their videos, they go to the Goodwill, they pull up, and there's 100 empty parking spots. You know what I mean? Even the only one place that I usually go, I will from time to time go to the Goodwill outlet, Goodwill bins, people call it. And there's spots, but you have to pay for parking.
That's in the city, so you pay for parking?
Yeah, you could pay like $10.
Okay.
And you could pay, so that's not tough, obviously. And you know, obviously the bins, they keep sending out merchandise, so if you want to hang around, get stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. Before we get too much into the show, your fans are very impressed with how you look, and I paid you a compliment earlier. So
Thank
Tommy
you.
says you look really handsome, like you look like you're going out for a date or something. And Tracy says she
Yeah.
wants to see a side profile because you look so tremendous. So why don't you just appease your fans? There you go. That make you happy, Bobby? Tracy, 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 Tommy. Yeah, I was telling telling Bobby. I said I need a haircut too, but I don't have the hair like he does, so mine's not going to look as good as his.
Yeah,
she's very happy.
That was 2.5 years with no haircut, so
2.5
that's what that looks like.
Yeah, they thought maybe he had like a man bun in the back or something. You know, they weren't sure.
Yeah, no, nothing. Nope, it's all done. It's all over, Johnny.
There you go. It's all over, Johnny. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Like I said, the ladies especially wanted to see how your hair was done.
Anytime for anything for a lady.
Anything for the ladies. Okay, guys. Now that we got we saw Bobby's haircut, we'll get into the like I said, the meat and potatoes. I always say that because I had Rachel Strickland on. She was a vegan. I don't know why I always said meat and potatoes, but I had that stuck in my mind for some odd reason. So anyway, another thing I want to ask you too. Did you have any like friends or relatives that were in the reselling? How did you decide to get into reselling? You think you told me you were like in the restaurant business, right?
Yeah, well, that's what happened. I was working in the restaurant business, and I had always like sold things here and there on eBay. You know, like just a textbook I had or something. You know, just things here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I started just, I'm watching some videos on YouTube and different things because I was going to school part-time for accounting. I was working in a restaurant part-time. And then I had like 3 part-time gigs, and then I started reselling part-time. So what had happened was my boss at the restaurant, he was sick of part-timers because he couldn't yell at people because everybody would just blame each other, say, oh, no, who did that? Well, it's the other guy did it. The other guy did, so he was mad because he always wants to yell at people. That's all it is. He just likes yelling. So,
well, that's the restaurant business,
unfortunately. So he asked me to work full-time, and at the same time, I was still finishing up college. So, I mean, this is later on as college as an adult, not this is like
right. You didn't go to school right out of high school, college.
This is way after, this is me going back to college. I had a restaurant, but then I don't want to go back too far because we could be here for a few hours talking about my whole life.
Well, you got a lot of fans in the chat. We can discuss whatever you want.
Right. Well, I'm sure. I think a lot of them know the story.
Okay.
But to make that point quick, he asked me, all right, you want to work full time or whatever? I says, I'm finishing college because the reselling is always, you can always adjust. If you're busy with school or something, I say, well, I'm not gonna do reselling. And then if you have extra time, then you do reselling. So that's when I had to start kicking it up doing reselling because I had lost the restaurant business. So that's how I became full time.
The restaurant business closed, or you didn't want to become full time?
No.
Basically said you didn't want to
have no. Like I said, he had offered me the full time job.
Right.
But I couldn't because I was finishing school.
Okay, so since you're a part timer, he didn't want to have you as an employee.
Because he ended up giving someone else the full time job.
Make him full time. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, who didn't work out anyway. He should have just kept it the old way. He's a multi-millionaire, so I'm not going to question him. He's millionaire many times over.
Yeah, well, yeah. They're not always right because they're millionaires, or billionaires for that matter.
Yeah, he's a multi-millionaire.
Okay. Why don't you tell the people what platforms you're selling? I know you told me you sell predominantly on eBay. Why don't you tell the people a little bit why you sell on eBay?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I sell almost exclusively on eBay. And I've been talking, anybody who knows me in the chat, I always ask them, oh, what do you think about this site? What do you think about that site? And I always get mixed results.
Mm-hmm.
I have people say, well, I just put the pedal to the metal on eBay and I started doing better. And some people, and now as the cross listing platforms are becoming more efficient, over the last couple of years, obviously it's going to be, eventually I'm going to have to go into these other platforms. And because the one thing that kind of gets me is that I know there's a lot of, as many people in chat know, I'm more afraid of getting suspended for doing something that a lot of times people, you don't even know what the hell you did wrong.
Well,
And
like Annie's in the
you get,
chat. She got suspended for selling CVS beauty supplies. It's like because CVS didn't want resellers selling their things. It's like, really? She bought it
yeah,
from legitimate stores. They sell to liquidators.
yeah. So that's, and exactly, and there's no way to know everything. So that's one thing that I definitely want to kind of try to branch out for that one reason.
Right.
I mean, of course, obviously to make more money on other platforms, but
Sure.
But once in a while, I will sell something on Facebook Marketplace, a bulky item. But that would be once every 2 or 3 months. I had some luggage and stuff like that I wasn't gonna. I was just gonna sell it cheap. Boom, blew it out.
Now I know where you're working. You explained to us that you basically work in the basement of a thrift store. But
Yes.
what about your home? Do you work out of your home? Do you have places you can store things, or limited places to put things, or what?
I do have some stuff that I had originally,
Right.
and then I just had to, when I was selling.
Right.
But then, obviously I expanded. I have so much more stuff now. So, most of the stuff. I mean, I do still have some clothing and different items at the house, but 90% of it is here, less than 10% there, and I have a small storage locker where I have some stuff.
Right.
But I do have an office in the house, that where I have a desktop. Like people always, well, I'll get a desktop. It would be more of a hassle. First of all, I don't want to give up the space to put a desktop down here.
Right.
And and then the issues with the connectivity and different thing, and so it's like I'll do drafts here. I'll take pictures. I'll use my phone. It's my pictures are fine.
Right.
So I'll take the pictures here and I'll do some drafts, and then when I go home, then I finish off the drafts, on the desktop, because it's a little bit easier to see.
Sure.
The thing on the desktop, and then that's
it.
it.
I know you had a storage unit, and you were climbing up a ladder to the storage unit. Then now you have like a lower level unit. Do you still have the storage unit for the lower level?
That's a great story. Is that
okay? Yeah, I love that story. I said I would be climbing up a ladder, stick a ladder.
Well, I'll tell you, because what happened was, I'm sure everybody knows what rummage sales are. You guys, it's like the best kind of sales you want to go to.
Sure.
Different organizations, churches, or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And, one woman who I know, I was back and forth with her on the phone. She runs a school in a Jewish temple. And, she had mentioned, woman's husband died. And, here, just get rid of this stuff real cheap, whatever it was. So it's like, but part of the deal is I can't sit there and pick through things. You know what I mean? Like I had told him, I'll make the story short. I had told her, I says, look, I can't sell 70% of this. She's like, look, just give her a couple dollars, just whatever's worth the money. And it will be help just to take away her stuff. Because she was an 80-year-old woman. She isn't going to start bagging stuff up.
A lot of things she's trying to get rid of, right?
Yeah. So there was a lot of clothing. It was tons. But, of course, and like I said, it was a great deal, obviously. I only paid $100 for 30 garbage bags full of clothing. But naturally, what I had to do was I had to get a locker, So, but, I like Mike is the locker man. So, I called him up and he never heard of second guy.
Yeah.
He never heard of a locker with ladders, whatever. So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So, but basically, because I didn't really want to, obviously I was like, oh, I'm just going to get a locker quick. And, you go online and the locker was only $30. So, I mean,
yeah, that's why it's $30.
That's what happened. So you have to climb this ladder.
Everyone knows me that follows my show. I'm in the saying, if it looks too good to be true, it usually is.
Oh,
that's why it was $30.
Yeah. So climbing up that ladder, I had to throw, I'm throwing items in there, and it's hard to maneuver. And I didn't want to climb into the unit because I didn't want to get stuck because I'm there at night. If I fell or something happened, nobody, it'd be a tree falling in the forest.
Right. Does anyone hear it if no one's there?
Yeah. So I told a woman, the woman was a really nice woman who runs the operation. And, I says, give me the cheapest locker that you don't need a ladder for.
They don't need a ladder.
So, because when you climb the ladder, it's fine. You know, oh, okay, I can climb the ladder. But then when you have garbage bags full of stuff, you know, and then it's you know, that's when it's like, oh shit, you know, like this is getting tough. You know, I can't climb up this ladder with all this heavy, and especially when you have to kind of move stuff around and move, you know, okay, because like I said, I was 30 garbage bags full of stuff. Right. So what I was doing is the stuff that's sellable, I'm putting in some bags, and the stuff that's not, I would bring over to, you know, I don't know if do you have Savers by you?
No, there's no Savers down here. No.
Okay.
We
well,
have Goodwill,
Savers,
Salvation Army, Independent. Yeah.
Yeah. So Savers, if anybody doesn't know, what they do is they give you coupons for clothing. So
you heard that they have like a program. If you buy a certain amount, you get a discount coupon or something, or.
Yeah, well, no, this is if you just make a donation. So
that's what it was. Okay, yeah, because I never understood it because people used to talk about it all the time. Like Steve,
yeah, so obviously
he's up your way, not your way. I guess a little further north.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, not far from me. Right, he's probably not far. I think he's in Fairfield County.
Right.
So basically, make the story short, you know, you always kind of have to have a bag with you every time you go because you have to go. You get the coupon, you know, and you know, because it's all for anything. It could be merchandise that just came from the back room. You're getting 20% off. So, you know, you gotta have it.
You walk around with one of those big blue IKEA bags?
No, I don't bring the IKEA.
Oh, you don't bring the IKEA?
We kind of have,
okay.
We for the thrift store, we have a different system. We kind of act. Okay. It's kind of that's a whole nother story that we do it.
All right. But anyway, so you get the coupons if you buy things, and they use those. Right.
Yeah. So we get the coupons, and then the coupons. You know, you always have to have it. So that's what I did. I kind of went through it. The locker. You know, most of it is already, you know, picked through already.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, so I have the stuff off to the side, and then so now I have to go back and bring the stuff here.
And process it.
But right. That's what I'm in the process right now. So it's like $60 a month. So
right.
It's still worth it, even for the peace of mind where if I do get another lot. Because at first I was like, you know what? It's an extra $60. I can kind of squeeze the rest of the stuff in here. But then I'm like, you know what? I get calls all the time for, you know, these kind of private picks and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's like, and then it's tough to bring it in here. So, because once you bring it in here, I gotta now play musical chairs, move all these tubs around, move racks around, move that around. So it's easier. I just have that rack, you know, I just have that there, and then boom, throw the rest of the stuff.
Right.
And then that's it. You know,
well, that's
and it's not far. It's only 15 minutes away. Not 15 minutes, less than that. It's like 10 minutes. Not even. Okay.
Well, I was going to say that's a good transition because you do a lot with estate sales, and I'm always talking about on my channel about, you know, building relationships with people, and like basically you were just said recently, you do private picks. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that? How you got involved in that? How you build relationships, and it helps your business out basically.
Yeah, I always. I think it's very important that even if you're going to go to estate sales, just try to buy something, buy anything, just so you're interacting, you know, with the people running the sale.
Right.
And a lot of times people, they get very discouraged. They see high pricing but what happens is after a while, when they get to know you and they're friendly with you and they want to do business with you, they'll approach you about buying lots and about buying, you know, because they have to get rid of this stuff at the end of the day or at the end of the week or the end of whatever. And, you know, they want to have somebody they could just dish stuff off to. They could just call you up and you're going to run and grab the merchandise.
Sure.
You know, that's, you know, making the connections with those companies. It took a long time for me to build up those relationships. Because when you walk in, they don't know you from Adam. So
yeah, they don't know me.
You know, they don't know you. So, you
exactly.
know, you got to go in, you got to make purchases.
You might find like a Starbucks coffee mug or something, and just to buy something or yeah.
That's exactly what it is. You know, it's the same. I buy a mug or something like that. And then they're going to say, oh, how you do? Oh, you looking for, and then because they're going to talk to you.
Then you build up a little conversation. You try to bond a little bit. Yep.
you build up the conversation, and then sometimes, or you could, when you pick something up, and then they'll say, "Oh, did you want that item?" Say, it's a little too expensive, or and then that's when I always tell people this: never walk into the estate sale and say, "Oh, I'm a reseller. Give me whatever I need better prices." Let them ask you. If you pick up an item, and then they ask you, they'll say, "Oh, do you want it?" You say, "No, you know what?" Then you tell, I resell. There wouldn't be enough profit for me if I, Then they'll say, "Oh, really? You resell? I got X, Y, and Z." But once you start going in, especially when a big mistake people try to make, they think estate sales or garage sales. They go there very early, and there'll be a line of people. There'll be 50 people outside, and they're trying to negotiate.
I hear you.
And the companies, they're not going to budge with 50 people outside.
Not on the first day of the sale if they're running a 3-day sale.
Yeah, first day of the sale, and then they try to get tough. Like, "Oh, I'll do this, let's do that." They don't want. They just want to throw you out.
Yeah, right. Goodbye.
Yeah, exactly. It's not worth their time because they have a house full of people. They can't be wasting their time for $40 order, $50 order. They just can't. It's not worth the time.
So is that kind of like, and I said, I know you told me you watch YouTube videos, and a lot of us watch the old G resellers back in the day, like Pete Craigslist Hunter. Is that kind of like when you watch Pete's show and he never wants to give a price? He always wants the other person to give a price?
Yeah, well, that's the same thing. They said negotiating 101.
Right.
You always want the other person to give a price.
Right. And you don't want to insult them because, like I said, if the state prices are high, you don't want to really lowball them and then upset them. It's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this idiot. And
it's easy if they're saying, "Well, what are you looking to get out of this item?" How much were you looking? What were you looking to get for this?
Right.
Then it's easier. I mean, if they give you a really slam dunk price, you say, "Okay, I can do that," and then boom, you do it quick before they change their mind.
Exactly.
If they start to give you a higher price, you'll say, "Oh, you know what? I got to look it up." And people understand if he's got a store, he's got an overhead. They can't sell it. Most people. It's the same thing with consignment. A lot of people don't want to do consignment because there's always hard feelings or whatever it is. But people like, say, a family member or a friend say, "Oh, can you sell these gadgets for me?" So, what happened is once you start explaining to them, I got to take a picture. I have to upload the pictures to the internet. I got to write a description. I have to answer the emails. I have to pack the item. I have to drive over to the post office. Once you start explaining how much work is involved,
I have to pay for shipping. I have to pay commissions to the e-commerce site.
Yeah. Then they understand. But when someone says, "Oh, I have a $100 item here. How come I can only get 35 out of this?" Once you start explaining all the other stuff, because I had to happen one time where there was a guy who had he messaged me. I think I had put because I used to put ads on Craigslist, like, "Oh, I buy clothing," whatever it was.
Sure.
And I had a guy who messaged me from a few towns away. It was an older guy who used to sell at flea markets. When flea markets were big, like 20, 30 years ago, whatever it was, swap meets, whatever it is, before the internet, e-commerce kind of blew up.
Yep.
So I told him, I says, "Look, I can give, I give you X amount, whatever it is." He showed, he's like, "Oh, he's asking me, what do I think?" Because he had like 25 plastic tubs of vintage clothing. But a lot of stuff I could tell was already picked through. And he kind of already told me that, which was kind of weird So then that's what happened was he was like, "Oh, well, you can put it on the internet and sell." I says, "Yeah," but then that's when I got into it. I says, "Well, but it's a lot of work. I got it." And then I went through the whole spiel. I got to do this. I got to do that. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Yeah, but for some people it's easy." I says, "Yeah, but it's still time consuming no matter who's doing it." So that's when but he's like, "Yeah, but he was just being a wise ass." So then I just threw it back at him. I said, if it's easy, why don't you do it? If you don't want to take $1 an item for these, he had like all these. I said, if you don't want to take $1 an item or $2 an item, why don't you do it? "Oh, well, I don't have time for it." So that's so I kind of like gave it to him again. So, so your time is valuable, but my time isn't?
Right.
Like that's when you kind of get them like.
Yeah, you gotta be careful when you do that because then you're really stuck into yourself.
Oh, but
like that. If you knew it was over then anyway, right? Yeah.
exactly. I was already at that point where I knew this guy wasn't interested in doing business.
Exactly.
So he was looking for a lot of money for the stuff, and he had some decent stuff, but nothing, like I said, he already had people that came through and picked through jeans and stuff like that, or whatever it was. So that's what I said. I said, well, my time is valuable to me. He said, oh, but for some people, I says, there's no magic. It's not listing on it is not magic. But, oh, well,
You
no,
got
but
bills
that
to pay,
guy,
you got car payments, you got insurance, you got
but just the time,
gasoline, and
But like I said, but you know what? Sometimes if you're doing consignment, if you find people who've already tried eBay, that's good because they know what's involved. So then it's like that, because that's a very good opportunity, especially you have people who they can't go out and source, they can't find items. Maybe like you said, if somebody's home, they have a kid at home, they can't be running around, but they do want to make extra money. Consignment is great. It's phenomenal. Because some people are just like, here. I mean, there's people who literally donate their stuff for nothing. So to get people to consign, it's not tough.
You were talking earlier about making deals or making relationships with estate sale sellers. My understanding is, and again, you and Mike are the kings of the estate sales, at least the ones that I know. You're the kings in my mind, anyway. That I know you do very well with them. So you don't really like try to do a bundle in the beginning, right? You try to build up that relationship before you try to put a bundle together.
Well, it's definitely going to depend on the scenario. I mean, it depends on what's going on. I used to try to just make a bundle pot, whatever it was,
right?
And but that's how I kind of got trapped. I ended up buying too much stuff that I didn't need. Okay. I would just say, "Oh, I'll buy everything at the end of the day, whatever it is." But it does work. I mean, especially if you're a newer seller,
right?
Because making bundles is always that's what's good about estate sales. You can make a big, huge bundle. Oh, I'll take this whole thing, and then because of time, instead of going to a estate sale, instead of going to a thrift store, sometimes you could spend all day at the thrift stores. And walk home with only
you hit like 5, 6, 7 thrift stores like in a route, and then like by the time you get to the third, fourth, or fifth one, they're already picked through.
Yeah, and you're not bringing much merch home, but if you're doing it,
you might pick up 4 or 5 items in the first place, then one, then none, then one, then none. It's like, like I said, you're out half a day and you bring home 10 items. I see these people I shout out my friend Beth. We saw a rowboat. She comes in, she has a shopping cart full of like 50 items. It's like, where do you find this stuff? But she's got the connections,
Well, but yeah, exactly. If it takes a while to figure out, learning curve, just like anything else. But
here's your friend Tommy. And read Tommy's comment. You see that?
Yeah.
When well, that's buying truckloads of stuff he doesn't need.
It does get a little addicting. Like I said, even today.
It's the thrill of the hunt, right?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this.
Exactly.
Is the thrill of the hunt.
I would say no one likes the list. That's not true. I would say probably 95% of the people don't like the list.
Okay.
But some people actually like the list, which I don't understand. But hey, good for them.
Yeah, some people don't like ice cream.
You can't sell it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that's that.
Okay, let's touch quickly on your eBay store, and I want to get into, like I said, more detail and helping us out as far as what we should look for. So, why don't you just tell us kind of how you run your eBay store? I typically like to ask my guests that, as far as running sales, doing promoted listings, offers. Why don't you tell us how you run your store?
Yeah. So what I usually do is, I usually run sales for around a week. Okay, and I'll run it anywhere between like 10 and 30%, depend. And I try to rotate it a little bit. You know what I mean? So like obviously the items that I first put out, because usually the items that you first get, what was I saying? The items that are first newly listed, they get more eyes first.
Right.
So I don't really run a sale on those items.
Mm-hmm.
As far as promotions, I run the promoted listings. But it seems, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Tommy will probably have a comment in here on the bottom. It seems like they give you suggested, but it seems like the suggested are way higher than they used to be. Now, I don't know if that's because people are just everybody else is raising their promoteds, or if eBay's are just trying to get you to promote. So, but like 9 times out of 10, I'll have to lower it from whatever it is because especially because some items are higher percentage items I'll sell, and obviously you can't have a high promoted listing. But if it's something like I got from the estate sale with a big pile, then I don't have a problem with just going higher up.
I wasn't aware
Yeah,
of this with
suggest.
Tommy. He said I didn't realize. I thought Tommy was, because Tommy used to always do suggested plus 3.9 or whatever it was. I didn't realize that Tommy stopped doing suggested. Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah, they some of them, like I looked on the thing, it's like 8-9%. It's like 8.9%. It's like,
Yeah, so you're paying like
it's like
double commission. You're paying like 15 on the one end, you're paying like 15 promoted, and you're paying
yeah,
on the final value fee. So it's like it's a lot of money.
yeah.
Especially
So
on you if you're
I
selling stuff
always,
for $100, right? You're paying
I'm
30%
always
commission.
9 times out of 10 I'm pushing that. Once in a while, like I said, if I have items that are expensive, I mean items that I don't have anything into it, I'm not as concerned. But like I'll buy some what people call like I used to buy some what you call like retail arbitrage type clothing, like
Yeah.
from TJ Maxx and those kind of places.
Back in the day, I used to get deals at Ross, and now I can't seem to find anything at Ross. Once in a blue moon,
it's
I'll
like,
find something at Walmart. I heard these stories like the flipping accountant. He's like, but again, he builds relationships with like department managers, store managers. He'll go in, he'll
that's
spend
different.
$1,000. It's like I don't see this stuff on my. I mean, I see the stuff. I don't see the clearance sales that he's finding.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Well,
I
if
used to
they're
go to
out
some
there,
places.
I don't see them.
Yeah, Marshall's,
But again,
TJ
he's more.
Maxx.
Yeah.
Not we used to go to like red tag and then yellow tag. Oh no, red, and then it goes
Right.
to another red. Then it goes, but
Yeah,
like they don't even go to yellow anymore.
Burlington Coat Factory was founded like 20 miles north of me. That's where it was founded. Burlington City is 20 minutes from me. But I used to get great deals there. I mean, I bought mostly for me, but now I go in there, it's like, that was a waste of time. I went to Marshall's the other day, and it's like when I was out getting my deals, I tell you guys, try to on what fixed income, so I do eBay to help flip my income. So I was trying to get, I think I mentioned to you, obviously I got some deals and stuff. So I'm here anyway, let me stop at the Marshalls. It's like, why? I'm literally like saying out loud. That's what happens when you get old. You start talking to yourself out loud. So it's like, well, I even bleeping coming to this place. It's like,
they don't.
Like, there's nothing ever here. But back in the day, you used to do pretty well with retail arbitrage.
Yeah.
At least my experience is I haven't had a lot of success doing it. So, I mean, I think basically you got to do what you do is build a relationship with the estate sales. If you're down in Florida, whatever, you do it very well with garage sales and yard sales. Do what Tommy does, hook up with suppliers, get wholesale connections. I mean, even I know Ed Reseller Rider might be in there. He goes to swap meets, and he's got connections to a lot of these shoe sellers, the athletic shoe sellers, and he knows his niche down into that, and he'll buy stuff like everything for $10. I mean, they'll have things that are like high end that they don't have for $10, but he'll get like 90% what he buys for $10 a pair.
Yeah,
but that's at a swap meet or a flea market.
But it's but it's kind of weird too. Sometimes it's like if you're gonna get a lot of stuff,
right?
It's like counterintuitive. Sometimes if you're gonna get a big bulk, it's okay to pay up. So people say, "Oh, well, if you're getting bulk, you should be paying less." But it's if you're gonna save all that time, not running around all day,
exactly. Time is money.
And you're gonna get 100 items. I'd rather pay up and not have to.
One to 15. Thrift stores, and you go to one swap meet and you get 100 pairs of sneakers.
Exactly. Instead of fighting these guys, like it's so funny because we're all like we're all trying to outdo each other. Like the guys are waiting.
Sure.
Yeah. Waiting for the clothing racks to come out, and waiting for this, waiting for that.
Sure.
It's like, oh, when and obviously you're friendly with people. You don't want to be, getting into trouble, but it's I mean, because there's some guys, we had 2 guys go after they put out some silverware the other day, like sterling, whatever it was.
Sterling silverware,
yeah, and these guys were like diving into this bucket and it was
like fighting to get to it. Yeah,
silverware starts flying, guy cuts his hand, there's blood all over.
Oh no.
Well, that's the thing. When somebody brings out a tub, those plastic tubs with sterling silver, people
like a feeding frenzy, like sharks on a seal, right?
Yeah, they're that. Oh, forget about it.
Oh, right. When we get a little bit into to the men's clothing, just want you to educate a little bit about men's clothing and the types of brands we should be looking for. And I know you do very well with men's suits, but let's discuss that a little and tell us maybe some of the higher end brands that are worth picking up when we're out, thrifting.
Sure. Yeah. When it comes to suits, the even more important before you start with brands is you want to have newer stuff, newer items. Okay, because sometimes you could pick up a suit. Like I could tell you, everybody knows brands. Burberry. Okay, Burberry's a great brand. But if you find suits that are from the 20, 30 years ago, it's not what people are really wearing. There are exceptions. Like sometimes you might find like a double-breasted vintage Burberry blazer that people are still looking for. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there are pieces, like I said, obviously you can find Gucci, you can find Burberry, you can find Polo Ralph Lauren, but it kind of has to have a specific style. One of the important things about the style is the vents in the back.
Okay. Like I'll put you on full screen here so we can see a little bit better.
Yeah. I'll try to pull something out here.
Yeah, try to pull something down. Guys, I asked Bobby to share some of the things he's selling so we can get a little better view of what he's talking about.
Yeah, like here, this is a brand, it's a Italian brand called Corneliani, and this is a gray men's.
I've heard this Canali, but this, how do you pronounce this one?
Not Canali. Yeah, it's not. This is similar quality, but
okay.
This is Corneliani. They actually make the suits for many years. They stopped, but for many years they made the suits for Polo Ralph Lauren.
Oh, okay.
So this Canali, this particular one, this one here is a blend, wool, silk, and cashmere.
Wow. Okay.
This particular one is they might have the same Polo Ralph Lauren, might be the same exact jacket, 100%. But instead of this label, it says Corneliani. It's gonna say a Polo Ralph Lauren, made in Italy. But now the style what people go for now is say this is a 2-button front, and in the back it has 2 vents. Okay.
Oh, okay. 2 vents. Okay.
That's what's important. That's you want to find. Like a lot of times you'll find say Giorgio Armani suits, but oftentimes Giorgio Armani suits don't have vents. So even though it's something that was very expensive, could have been thousands of dollars, if it doesn't have the vents, it's a very tough sell.
So what does a 2-vent mean? Is that you said you want something that's more current? Is that something more current, the 2-vented suit?
Well, but there are older suits with 2 vents too. It's not. It's just that now most of them are 2 vents.
I haven't really bought a suit in forever and ever, and the ones I always bought were single vent. So.
Yeah, a single vent is probably a single vent. If you went to a thrift store and there was 20, 30 suits on a rack, most of them are going to be single vent. Right. Most of them are going to be single vent. You're going to have a few, non-vented
side vents or yeah.
Yes, and then like you said, most are.
Yeah, I never saw that.
It was just
that double at the back. That's just interesting. I've never seen that before.
But if you went to, I'll show you like here. This is the Ralph Lauren. This is the green label. I don't know if you can see here.
No, the green label is the higher label. Is that correct?
No. This is the lower
what's the
label.
Higher label on the Ralph Lauren?
It's probably the purple label or the double
label.
RL.
Thank you, the purple label. Yep.
Yeah, but with this one, but see, here's the thing: is this. So like with this one here, you see, this is here. It's got dual vents.
Yeah.
This is like a newer one that you would find in the store if you went to Macy's or whatever department store you have.
Okay.
This is the newer one. So like, I might find an older Polo, which is a higher label than this, but if it doesn't have 2 vents and it doesn't have 2 buttons and doesn't look like this, I would still get more money for this, even though it's technically a lower brand. I mean, a lower label. you know. So, but that's definitely important. The vents. You find anything 2 vents, especially older suits, is always it's always much better.
Now,
You
what
know.
about like say like outlet store, like say you buy Ralph Lauren Polo at the outlet? Are there something on the labels like the RN number or something? Can you tell if it's an outlet store product or no?
It might be. That's one good question. I don't know, but it doesn't make a difference. You know,
It does
for a
make a
suit.
difference. Okay, like I said, I didn't know if it did or not. I know with certain things
Yeah, for a
allegedly
suit.
it does. Yeah, I think
Yeah, for a suit.
like you said, like Coach handbags. You know, there's outlet versions, and then there's the retail version that's on the Coach store, and apparently there's a big difference in pricing.
There's a lot. I mean, J. Crew and those kind of stores, they have stuff that's made just for the always exactly. Ronnie, he'll tell you anything.
Yeah.
The current styles is always very important. When you're sticking to the current styles, like I said, at some point the brand doesn't matter as much when if you have the right style. And then of course there are certain things like Ronnie, he sold, other men's suits that they're custom made in England.
Wow.
But
Okay.
I wouldn't even tell you the brands. I've found a few of them in years you don't find. I mean, you might find
he's
once
on
a year.
Cape Cod, so I mean we're talking big bucks. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is that this brands I wouldn't even tell you to even to look for,
Right.
because they're so hard to find.
Gotcha.
And they're custom made, and it's always tricky because he used to always complain about people want to return them because they're custom. The reason why people are buying is because they're made a certain size. Sometimes, like if you're a heavier guy, you're not gonna. It's not an on the rack suit, so it's not gonna fit right. And you kind of have to make up sizes. But like I did, there was a brand. If he's still in the chat, I just bought a bunch of suits that were from a custom maker called Mr. Ned, and it's a custom suit maker, but they're super expensive, and they're super cheap at the thrift store because there's no price, there's no tag, there's no labels on them, and they're huge size.
Gotcha. Okay, I also asked you to pull some single stitch T-shirts. Why don't we talk a little bit about vintage T-shirts and get into that a little bit?
Sure. Here's one of Tommy's favorites here. This is a
Howard Stern show. There you go, 92.3. Back in the day.
This here.
I was a lot of the people that know me know I was in the wine and liquor store business, and I was in route sales for a long period of time. And I was actually in one of the stores that played Howard Stern show on the radio, and I heard when the towers were hit, I was in the store and I heard it going down in the store. It's like, holy cow!
I was listening when exactly. I remember I was driving to work, and then that's he was on. Like this one, you really can't see the stitches, but I'll show you because they're single stitch. This one here, this is NBA Finals 1997 T-shirt. And this, I don't know if you can. I can't see what you can see. Can you see?
Yes, a little bit. Yep. Okay.
So the stitching,
right?
It's a vertical stitch up and down. Okay. Now that this was from the 97 finals. Usually most single stitch T-shirts are only up until the late 90s. Okay. So just because you like sometimes people say, well, but it's not single stitch. In the late 90s, I had a Nirvana shirt that was from the late 90s. It was a single stitch because in the late 90s, that's when they moved over.
They moved over. Right. Now, what about the brands? I mean, some of these eyeball brands like Glidden and all these weird brands. I mean, they're newer brands. They're not single stitch. But Hanes would probably be the latest, right?
You see here, like an anvil tag. A lot of concert shirts are on an anvil tag.
I remember that. Yep.
Well, I'll show you another tag that's very. This here is a concert shirt from. This is actually not from a concert. This is from. I was gonna keep this for myself, but I'm not gonna fit into it. This is from the Video Music Awards,
Wow.
MTV,
Okay.
1992. It's a special year, 1992, because I was a kid, and
Okay.
it was a year Nirvana performed at the so Nirvana obviously was
Feels like Teen
people my
Spirit.
generation. Yeah, so they played, and
Know how
then
old I am. Yeah.
now you see here, like, so you see this Giant tag. It says
Right.
Giant.
Right.
One of the bands from like the 90s. I guess they were using this brand T-shirt, made in USA.
Right.
So this is like I said, this one was pretty cool. It says 1992 MTV. So that was that's always a good sign. You want to look, you see the vintage, because especially if it's something you don't know, like if it's an older T-shirt, it's supposed to be older, and then you look and it says, oh well, why is it on this
That's
newer
a
T-shirt?
reproduction. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a reproduction. I mean, always with a tag is better than something like a lot of like the mall T-shirts you'll see there. There's no, it's just screen. It's like
Yeah.
printed just
Screen
on the
printed on
back.
the inside of it. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, stuff like that. Anything that's printed on like that, I don't.
Well, I just want to give you a heads up. Make sure, I guess, I don't know how Tommy contacts you, probably your Instagram, but I think he wants that Howard Stern shirt. So you might be getting a message from Tommy.
All right. I'll do a barter.
They're going to barter with him? Okay, so we talked about single stitch. Okay, we talked about that. Guys, I just want to touch on something. I don't know if Angie is still in the chat. It's kind of come up over the last month or two. We talked earlier about cross posting things, and just want to bring it up to your attention. I have nothing to do with this company. When I had Angie on, she mentioned it. I'm not affiliated. I don't get any money from it. I just thought I would bring it up, and because Bob and I were discussing cross listing, and eventually he's probably going to get on some other platforms. So he and I were talking about things, and Flyp keeps coming up. So I just thought I'd bring to your attention. I know Bob isn't using the cross listing right now because he's just pretty much on eBay. But anyway, I just want to bring your attention because Angie had mentioned Flyp, and it's free. It supports many e-commerce platforms, including eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and others. Like I said, I'm not affiliated with them at all. It's something you might want to consider. The other thing is it does sharing for Poshmark. So it'll share your closet. It follows other sellers. So I think it's a great advantage. And I have a video in the description of the video, or I should say a link in the description of the video to one of the sponsors, I guess, that's affiliated somehow with Flyp. Very good video. And then most of you probably know Krillin. He also has a video about the Flyp product as well. So I included that as well. So guys, again, I'm not affiliated with any at all, but I figured I'd bring that to your attention. So if you're looking for a free, quote unquote, free cross-listing software, that's one of them. They all have their issues. They all have their pluses and minuses, but if you want to try something out, and free is free. So anyway, Bobby, one other thing I want to get into, and we discussed on Mike's show, and I'm gonna post a link again to your show that you did with Mike and Scott, but you had an issue, and I guess you're still in the process of trying to hire someone to help you out with your eBay business. Why don't you share some of the things you learned that may help us, or that helped you, I guess, and help us maybe in the future? And I was also wondering if you had given any thoughts to hiring a virtual assistant.
Yeah. Well, there was a girl I hired. She worked a couple doors down from here, and it worked out, which I thought was going to work out. She was in a pizzeria. And so after work, she would come in a few days a week, and then, she'd be like I said, what I would do is I would take pictures here and then take the measurements here and then go home and then finish off the listing at home.
Right.
So basically, I was like, you know what? I'll just dictate to her. This way I don't have to put the item down. I just tell her what it is. Say, oh, Ralph Lauren soup, blah, 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 whatever it is. She'll just write it down. And she had much better handwriting than I did. So it was a lot easier when I'm going home to finish off the listing. Her handwriting was much better. But I made the mistake. I mean, not really knowing. I hope I don't insult any. I know you don't have that many millennials in your crowd, right?
You older people.
Yeah. So I don't have to worry about it insulting a millennial.
Yeah, the Gen Zs of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So I whatchamacallit, she's like, oh, I'll bring some items home to take listings. So I said, fine. So I said, that's phenomenal. Because I didn't think because everyone was giving me ideas. Oh, you should do this with her, do this with her, do that. I says, I want her next to me. She has to learn the business a little bit first. I can't just say, people are like, oh, have her do drafts and have her do. I says, I have to have her just
not ready to do that
watch
yet.
it. Yeah. I mean, that's not I'm not saying it's not a bad idea, but I'm just saying let's.
Got to walk before you run.
Right? Yeah, because I had bought a whole bunch of mannequins. I have extra men's mannequins. I have a kid's mannequin, woman's mannequin. When Sears went out of business over here,
I bought some of my stuff at Macy's when a lot of the Macy's were closing. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, boom. So they were cheap. I bought them. I was like, I'll need them. So she's like, oh, I have white walls in my house. So I said, fine. I said, you send me the pictures and I'll send you the money. When I come see you, she was still working as an assistant. Right. So I says, all right, you come back. And then, when you bring them back. But what she didn't like is that my critique of the photos, like they weren't bad per se. Like it weren't like, oh my God, terrible.
They weren't up to your standards, so to speak, which is fine.
Yeah, but I mean, I figured, but it was just like, well, you just give it a little bit more of a background, maybe do a little bit closer up, further back, or whatever it is.
Right.
Like she started to get really upset, but she's like, oh, you're complaining about. I was like, well, I'm not complaining. This is training. I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't say if you.
When she goes to the pizza shop, they're going to tell her how they want her to do things. Not just let her do anything she wants to do. How she wants to do it. They're going to say, look, we want you to do it this way. Keep your money in a drawer like this. Do this like this. They're trainer.
Yeah. So that's the thing is she kind of saw it like I was like complaining. And I says, no, I'm like, this isn't complaining about, I'm not like I wasn't threatening her job or anything. I was just
trying to have her improve. So, right. Yeah.
Exactly. So then she didn't, but of course she didn't even want to bring, but she had like my merchandise and mannequins. She had to have the guy from the pizzeria, the pizza man, bring over my stuff.
Well, you're lucky you got that.
She
back.
wouldn't
you might have took hundreds of dollars between the mannequins and the merchandise and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm just saying, I didn't think that she was going to steal. I didn't think she was going to. Right. But it was just like she didn't even have the decency to like bring it back. Like you should just say, you know what, this job isn't for me. You know what, maybe
I'll bring the stuff back. Right.
Yeah, it's not like I was aggressive where she would say, oh, I'm scared to come back to see you. Right. You know what I mean? It was just a matter of her ego was hurt. But I do have actually another girl who
I was going to bring that up. You mentioned also that you have somebody else that you're looking into hiring.
Yeah, I had another girl who I was going to hire before this one, but this one just subsequently just kind of fit in, and also was good is that she works right here, and that it just time-wise.
Right.
Because I would have her come in, and I would work from I would give her like $30 to work 2 hours. So she would come in like at 8 o'clock, work from 8 to 10, which was perfect because I get here around 5, 6 o'clock. Because, I'm doing my sourcing and post office and everything during the week. So she would come in, and then I, like say around 5, 6 o'clock, I'm coming in, and then I organize because I have to get stuff prepared. You know how it is. You buy stuff, you have to get it, you steam it, or you have you got to get it ready. Sure. So I can't just have her come in and then I'm digging through bags and piles because I'm paying her money. So I kind of have to have everything. I have to have everything ready. So when she comes in, it's just like, and which good. What I like too is that she worked in the pizzeria. So like when you're answering the phone in the pizzeria, someone's like, "Oh, I have a lasagna, I'll have pizza, I'll have a salad, blah blah." So you're used to people dictating to you, and you have to write it down.
Right.
So she was very good at that, because that's what she does at work.
Right. Sure.
That part of the job she was fine, and I wish she could have just said, "You know what? I don't want to take pictures. I'll just work with you side by side."
Right.
But I'm gonna call the other girl back tomorrow, and then the other one, and then but now virtual assistant, I really don't know how. I would love to talk I don't know how people do virtual assistants.
Yeah, that's something maybe
actually,
look into. I'm not saying you should hire, but I'm just curious if you looked into that. I know some people do that, but the vast majority of resellers that I know are kind of doing what you're doing. They build
well,
a
I wanted
relationship
to.
with somebody. They give them like a bin of clothing, and then they have them maybe just do the dress, or they do the pictures, and or they you
Yeah.
know they maybe they take it, give it to them. They have them steam it, and then take pictures and bring them back or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's always a
learning experience,
but
right? Right.
learning.
We use one of my other famous lines. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Well, I don't know if that's your line, but
well, one of the lines that I use, I didn't create it. I'm not that old. I'm not that old, Bob. Come on. All right. One other thing, when they ask you to, before we close things down here, guys, I appreciate you all being here, and I always forget to tell you guys, please smash that thumbs up, because that helps the video as well. And I always forget to ask you guys before I get towards the end. I ask you guys to hit that thumbs up. So if you can do me a favor and hit that thumbs up while you're here. I want to ask you too, if there's any other kind of like special websites or apps you use. We talk a lot about Google Lens, or is there anything that you typically use in your business? Maybe that's something that we could use that we might not be using.
Yeah, definitely for the estate sales, estatesales.net.
Estatesales.net.
Always use. That's always the one I use, and then I put like that's like my go-to almost like every night, before while I'm doing my listing or whatever it is. I always take a look at estatesales.net. You can do what's coming up tomorrow, what's going, and I look to see what's coming up within the next week or two.
Do you use Craigslist as well to supplement that, or as far as like yard sales? And we don't really have a lot of those, I guess, right?
Yeah, I sometimes do look at the Craigslist. I do take a peek at that. That's not my main one. Once in a while, I will take a look, especially if I don't have anything else, because I'll try to, like, say it's like a Saturday morning or so, whatever it is.
Right.
I'll try to plan. I'll make like a little map.
That's a good point. I'm sorry, I apologize for interrupting you. I used to love the yard sale treasure map, because you could like build like a route, and now like they don't have all the listings because the Craigslist says they can't use their site anymore. So how do you? I mean, what I do is I'll find something. I'll say, okay, directions to so and so, but I usually just do it from my home to that location, and then of course my phone decides to act up. But guys, I might as well share this with you. I was waiting all day for this, but they want to spend the money, but you can see what we have here, the new iPhone. But so Adam's out a lot of money for a long period of time here. But
now,
anyway,
which version is that? Which version?
14 Pro.
Okay, so 14. That's the top.
Actually, it's I had the 7 Plus, which is like 7 years old, so it's slightly smaller than this. The Max is like a half an inch bigger. The Pro was a little bit smaller than this, but I'm hoping, because this took terrible pictures. Like I told you, and I told other people. I mean, I had I have 2 soft boxes here. I have a soft box over top. I have LED lights, and it's like I still take terrible pictures. So I'm hoping. I mean, not that I need a phone to take great pictures, but this allegedly does. So that's something I'm going to use that for the. Hopefully, I'll improve my pictures on my eBay listings, and I'll make it more enjoyable, because it was always like a chore. I would go back there. It was like, I shouldn't have to take like 15 pictures. No, I'm exaggerating. I shouldn't take 5 pictures of like one shot to get it to look good. And then you spend all that time editing, where it's like, if you do it right, maybe you only edit like 1 out of 3 pictures, you just crop it or whatever, and you're good to go. But anyway, that's the money I had, what I had to spend money on this week, amongst other things. So, so you use the treasure map. Use the estatesales.net.
Yeah, that's my go. That's
your go-to. Okay,
that's like my go-to. Like I said, because I really don't go to too many garage sales. Garage sales are more for people who sell everything. If you're an everything guy, if you're if you're somebody that's selling everything, like like Paul, Big Paul, who's driving around everywhere, in Philadelphia,
right.
If you're an everything man, then that's a lot different. But if you're niche,
he does a lot of storage units and that kind of stuff too. So it's kind of different. Yeah.
Yeah, but when you're not, but me, it's just statesales.net.
Right, yeah, you're niching
And then,
down and you're doing, mainly estate sales. And like I tell people all the time, they don't understand it if they're not from this area. We have a very limited yard sale and garage sale. I mean, in April, they're saying April showers bring May flowers. It rains like crazy around here in April. And then you got like maybe mid-May, right? So then towards the end of May, you get June, which is good. And it starts getting really hot and sticky in July, and people want to go down the shore, go on vacation. So July is kind of hit or miss, and then August gets hot. So basically we have like a little bit of April, we have May, June, and then we have like a little bit of September, and then pretty much everything is done by the middle of October. I mean, people like Mike down in Florida, I mean, they have yard sales. They don't have like maybe June, July, and August, but they have them the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's God's waiting room, so they find a lot of neat stuff down there. Like same thing with the estate sales.
Yep, that definitely is.
Okay. Anyway, like I said, I told you I don't know if there's anything you want to promote. I'm going to pop your show in the chat again that you did with Mike and Scott as well. The pop it in the chat here. The worst damn resale period. Pop that in the chat. Is there anything you want to promote? Or I did include your Instagram and your eBay store. I listed that in the description of the video, guys. So if you want to check out Bob's eBay store, or you don't do a lot on Instagram anymore, but you may in the future.
But I do check it because I do get messages from other people. So I get back to you pretty quick. That's a good way
to contact you is through Instagram.
Instagram is probably one of the better ways to get in touch with me. I check it pretty frequently. Like I said, because there's always somebody trying to send something back and forth. So, Facebook I don't really do, but the Instagram, yes.
And your show is at 8 p.m. on Sunday evenings. The worst damn resale show period is at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday evenings. 8
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know some people they might not know, but it's Eastern Time.
Right.
We always try to bring guests on. Whoever wants to come on, we try to bring in guests. Mike likes to talk a lot about Walmart. He's and
the Shopify app. Yep.
And Shopify. He's very big on Shopify. He's doing well with Shopify. So if anybody has questions about Shopify or Walmart, he's gone through a lot of the work. He's done a lot of the footwork already. So, or golf clubs.
Yes,
he knows a ton about golf clubs. So if you have questions about
again, I talk about networking and making relationships. So I mean, if I had questions about golf clubs or or even something simple about questions about going to estate sales, I would reach out to him. I would reach out to you, or maybe I know jewelry sellers. Maybe I would reach out to jewelry sellers if I picked up some jewelry. I would reach out to them and kind of have them help me because like I said, it shortens the learning curve. And like I said, the less time you spend on something, I mean, I can't learn jewelry. I can't learn all the women's fashion. I mean, I mentioned Beth again. I try to watch Best Show. So if I find out some really neat stuff at the yard sale or garage sale, I kind of know what I'm looking for. So that's why I'd like to have you on to share with the people in the chat, people watching the replay, things about, men's clothing or vintage t-shirts, etc. So I'd like doing that as well to kind of share the information. So, okay.
Sure.
Did want to do some little bit of housekeeping, guys. Like I said, I mean, I tell you guys, I'm not monetized on YouTube, and like anything else, there's expenses involved. I.e. iPhone 14, which is not your problem, but it's a cost, So anyway, like I said, I have, you're enjoying the channel, you're learning something. Again, I want to remind you, please don't forget to smash the thumbs up. And you can help me offset some of the costs if you're getting value out of the show and enjoying my guests. I have PayPal, Cash App, and I also have Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. And as well as Randy, I have my friend Randy, the moderator. Randy Fasig's website in the description as well. And Randy sells coffee, tea, spices, and old-fashioned candy. And some really neat stuff. I actually toured Randy's warehouse in his business. I was up in his Allentown area the other week, and it's a really neat operation he has up there. And Randy is a tremendous reseller and business person. So he has some really neat stuff. So again, Randy pays me a commission from anything you guys buy if you put AE next to your name at no cost to you guys. So anyway, I appreciate you guys being here. I just want to thank you for your time. I always say time is your most valuable asset. So I'd like to thank Bob or Bobby or Rob for his time.
Thank you. Anytime.
Appreciate it. I thought we learned a lot from you. I appreciate your time. And I want to thank those of you that are watching the live or watching the replay as well. And remind you guys to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, turn notifications on. And if you can leave a comment, that helps the video as well. Appreciate seeing a lot of my old friends in the chat. Always good to see you guys. And come back and see me sometime, all right? We'll see you next week, guys, at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you.
Cheers.